preparing for your pathway, whether it's the start of the year, an event that's coming up, or some other plans that you have, there can be real benefits to it. It can really provide you in a different space and maybe help you get to different outcomes. We're going to talk about pathway preparation, the benefits, and more on episode 743 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Bob. How are you today?
Okay. How are you?
I'm okay as well.
All right. It's one of those days.
It is definitely one of those days. There's
lots going on out there.
There is lots going on in the world, I guess, as usual. Everyone gets impacted by things differently and things going on. So we should probably dive right into this. What do you say?
I think that's a great idea.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. Each week, Bob and I have a conversation around a topic. This week's topic, as I mentioned, is pathway preparation, which I think is a great conversation for the start of the year. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits. And as we go through that conversation, if you have thoughts or ideas that you would like to share on the topic or on whatever the conversation around we're speaking of, please feel free to share them in the comments of whatever social media you happen to be following this show on, whether it is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or
LinkedIn Live, baby.
LinkedIn Live, baby. Yes, indeed. That's standard. It's good to have that there.
It is.
Because we know that'll have an impact on not only our show, it might also have an impact on someone out there who's desperately seeking exactly what you have to share. So don't hold back on your value. Share it out there. Help someone else figure out how to take their next step when they're stuck and uncertain about what to do as they try to figure out the benefits maybe along whatever the pathway is that they have chosen for this coming year. And at the end of the conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote, that thing that we hope will help you figure out how to take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. And of course, if you have an antidote as well, please feel free to share, because it'll add value not only to the show, as I mentioned, it'll also help maybe that one person who you share it, you don't even know that it's impacted someone, yet you put it out there and it has helped them figure out how to take their next step. Before we dive into that conversation, though, each morning we do our celebrations. Bob, what are you celebrating today?
Tom, as you know, probably more than anyone, last night a football player was pretty seriously hurt in the Buffalo Bills game. And overnight, I saw that people raised more than $3 million for his charity, which he had a goal of raising $2,500. So people stepped out and showed their support for this person in a way that will make a huge difference. And I celebrate that. I love when people find a way to do something really good in a difficult situation that fosters an opportunity that might not have been available otherwise.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think it's great. And I think my celebration goes along with it. But, when communities gather around any situation, whether it's without having to judge the situation, it's just when you have a community that is tied together by something, you have opportunities to really make an impact on others. And, it's great when you see that. And I think the Buffalo Bills fan base has, caused a different awareness. And not that it wasn't there before, and not that fan bases hadn't rallied and done other things for their community. It might have just been less public. And usually it was always around their community for some never known reason. And oddly enough, or such a weird situation, is that the first time it started was when the Bengals beat the Ravens, that allowed the Bills to get into the playoffs 5 years ago, their first playoff bid in 20 years. And the Bills were so supportive of the quarterback, Andy Dalton, for the pass that he threw, and the receiver who actually I think the receiver was playing in the game tonight.
The Cincinnati quarterback.
The Cincinnati quarterback, yep.
Yeah.
And they raised, I don't know, $700,000, $800,000 for his charity as an act of thanks. And it's weirdly coincidental that the Bills and the Bengals happen to be on the field, and now there's a little bit of people have seen what others have done, and they have chosen to act in a similar way in an effort to show their support. So I think that's the value of community is one of those things that I don't think we always recognize and maybe take as much time to celebrate as we could. And so I think that's why my celebration will be around the value of community. I noticed in my life, and there's a community you live in, which is one. I think it's also the community that you put yourselves in, and I think that the opportunity for support and connections and people who you can celebrate with is something that can really add a lot of value to our lives. And so I think it's a worthy celebration.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're talking about pathway preparation, right?
Pathway preparation. Yeah, we had a great conversation yesterday, a little bit around what it is. So if you're not exactly certain, and Bob might still not be certain on what it is, go back and listen to yesterday's conversation. You might get a little bit of a sense of what we're trying to do, or we're trying to discuss. And I think, just give it a little rundown. It's that if you missed yesterday's show, it's the start of the year. And I think that there are things that we can do to be prepared for whatever pathway we choose. I mean, we have lots of choices along the pathways that we can go, whether it be personal or professional. And we've been talking mostly about professional. And so we thought that today would be an opportunity to talk about what are the benefits for doing some of that preparation as you prepare, celebration as you prepare for the pathway that you've chosen. There's a lot of P's in there.
Yes. Preparation, pathway, yes.
Yeah, it's a lot. Do you want to kick us off on this conversation, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I understand correctly, the benefits are that you're not going blindly forward. And so you have the ability to, one, evaluate and learn from the steps you take. Because if you don't have a pathway, if I don't know I'm going down to the ocean from the house a block away, I'm not going to find the ocean. I guess ultimately, if I go east, I'm going to find the ocean, or west, I'm going to find the ocean. But a lot could happen in between. And I think so often we think of the destination and we don't think of the steps along the way, and we don't take in the information along the way. Or what's the old saying? It's the journey, not the destination. I think that's really what we're saying in a way is there's a journey here, and you can learn a lot and enjoy a lot on the journey. And the journey is where you have the experiences and the knowledge and the perspective that's going to help you no matter what your pathway is. And also you might change your pathway. You may say, oh, if I go to that beach, it's going to be, the sand looks really hot. If I go to this beach over here, and you could change your pathway. But if you don't know where you're going, you can't change along the way. So as we get to a new year, we have people that I did a vision board. If you look in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, you can see it. People set goals. I did post that. Yep.
I did. Thank you for posting that. That was cool.
Oh, of course. People set goals. They set intentions. That's really, this is where I want to go. The pathway is how they're going to get there. So the vision board for me is I want to buy a vehicle by the end of the year. The pathway to get there is some financial things, some things in terms of how I deal with other things along the way. And I don't know the exact pathway because I've never done it before, but at least I have a sense of where I'm going. And I think that's the ultimate benefit. I know where I'm going, and I think I have a better chance of knowing when I go astray. If I suddenly if someone pays me $100,000 for a speaking gig, which won't happen, but if they did, I could go straight and be like, oh, I'm going to put down payment on a condo. Well, wait, hold on. You said you wanted to buy a car. What happened there? that would be the right. That would be the kind of thing. And I think if we don't have a clear pathway that we're trying to go down, I could spend it on a really nice vacation. I could buy a boat. There's a lot of things I could do with $100,000. But if I have a pathway, there's more likely a chance that one, I'm going to get somewhere I'm trying to really get to, because I didn't put that vision board together over 5 minutes. That's the distillation of a lot of thought. It's not like,
Sure.
oh, I got a whole lot of money, let me throw it away. Quite the opposite.
Well, I think that to me, the vision board is part of the preparation, right? It's like
Mhm.
you're calling on all of the knowledge, experience, and perspective that you have to consider what the destination might look like, and even with a vision board, there's lots of destinations that are a part of that. So I think that there's the one of the benefits is that you've taken all that you have. You've taken that knowledge, experience, and perspective, and you've based on that made some decisions about where you want to go, where the pathway is going to take you. And I think that that's part of the preparation side of it
Mhm.
is, that you have to really, you don't have to, but there's an opportunity to sort of get as organized as you can. You could have done your vision board, because I know this was part of a larger program that you're a part of.
Mhm.
So it was kind of an assignment, and maybe you were going to do it also. Um, but at some point you had to, and as you mentioned, it took some time and thought and effort that you had to prepare that. You could have been like, this is stupid. I don't know why we're doing this. I've never done it before. It's silly. It's, you know, real men don't do vision boards, those type of things.
Wow, it's like you were in my head a week or two ago.
And, feel like I've been in your head for 3 years, so I'm
So
starting to
sorry.
understand it a little bit. Um, and so I think that you could have just thrown it together and been like,
Right.
yeah, I got it. Here it is. I was asked to do this, and now I have to do it, and here it is. And I think that, that's in some ways the way sometimes we look at goals, I believe. So we just
Right.
throw them out there. It's like, oh, everybody else is doing goals, or everybody else is doing a resolution, or what's the word of the year. And it's funny that somebody else posted somewhere, I forget where, about like what's your word for the year. And maybe you did it here in the Ring of
I
Renegades.
did.
And I think there's a difference between throwing a word out there,
Mhm.
taking 2 minutes while I look at this post and thinking about what my word is going to be. And I think those people who for them it's a real value, they find value in having that word, spent a significant amount of time considering all the different words it could be, preparing for what that might look like, trying to understand it. And I think that there's, for them, the word probably holds more value. Like, I think I wrote a word down and now I can't even remember what it was that I typed
I believe
into
yours
the
was Renegades.
yes, it was. You're correct. And at the same time, I didn't give that the same thought that others did. And so I think that it probably holds less value at the moment. Now that could change, obviously, over time, and it could start to grow on me like, yeah, that's the word, and it holds real value throughout the year. Um, and yet I think that there's the opportunity to prepare a little bit more for what I believe my pathway is going to be. And I think that that's one of the benefits is, you took the time to do it. You put a lot of time, effort, and energy into putting together what's a very nice looking vision board, and
Well, and I
what seems
defined
well
all
thought
the
out.
images. That was
Correct.
that took time. That was part of it. The preparation was actually finding the images and the process of searching. And there were 2 or 3 times where it's like, all right, you know what? I'll go without that.
Then you had different sayings and things like that, and so I think that
Yep.
there was some preparation before you went in to do that. Like, you had to have a little bit of a plan. Maybe that's a little bit about what this And I think the preparation is before the plan. And I think anytime a plan has a little bit of preparation goes into it, there's a real opportunity for the plan to have considered more things than
Mhm.
likely it had considered. And I think that's one of the true benefits is that we have given ourselves some time to consider all
We've taken
not
the
only
time to consider it, right? Taking the time,
correct,
not giving ourselves, taking it consciously,
correct.
right? Yeah.
Well, I think that there's both. I would imagine there's both. There's some people who consciously, intentionally are saying, I'm going to set aside this time for it. And then others who are like, well, I'll take a little bit of time. So I think, and yes, it's something that we intentionally have done in a way to um, really give some consideration to what this pathway might look like um, as we go to lay it out.
Okay. Time for our one thing, huh?
I guess if you're ready, yeah.
You
You
know,
have
I
yours?
think I do. I think the more time we invest in preparation, the more likely we are to find um, the things that we need to move forward even further down the road. Preparation leads to execution, which leads to opportunities from what we learn, knowledge, experience, perspective. If we don't prepare, if you don't prepare to run a marathon, you're going to have a hard time. It's not going to feel good. The preparation, if you look at people that run marathons and talk to them, the ones who prepare for like 9, 10 months, they go and it's a piece of cake. They're up the next day on their way to work. The ones
Well,
who train the last 2 weeks beforehand and go, oh, yeah, I can do 26 miles, they struggle.
is that your one thing?
That is, yes. I thought I paused there. Did I stop? I thought I
You
did.
did. I just wasn't sure you paused at a moment where you concluded your thought. I wasn't
I
certain
had,
about
yes.
that. Okay,
It
fair
sort
enough.
of fizzled out in honesty.
Okay. Sounds like a judgment.
It's,
Just saying.
it's one of those days. Go ahead. What's yours, Tom?
I think that the benefits of preparation is that we have an opportunity to consider a lot of different things before we make choices. And and I think it's those options that allow us to prioritize what is most valuable to us at the moment. Doesn't mean it can't change. It doesn't mean that new information or new knowledge, experience, and perspective will have an impact on what it is. It just allows us the opportunity to consider more things. As I mentioned with the word choice, I gave that word choice thought about for about a minute. Had I stopped, set everything else aside, said, you know what, this is an interesting thing. I think there's a lot of value in this. And because of that, I'm going to do some preparation for this. I could have come up with a whole list of words, probably 30 to 50 words that could be my word for the day and have really a pretty good grasp on why each of those words was important. And that likely would have allowed me to make a potentially different choice. Could have ended up right back where I started. And yet, I think the preparation allows me to have those options to consider. At the time, given a minute, I could come up with a couple. Yet I'm not sure I came up with a couple that I had a rationale or reasoning behind. And
Right.
I think that's part of it. And this goes for almost any action that you take. I got thinking about a meeting. Any meeting that you put together has a pathway. Many people would
Hmm.
call it an agenda. And you could show up with no agenda, possible. You could create an agenda and you're not really sure why things are on there. Or you could take a little more time and be intentional and to consider all the different things that could go on in this meeting and in this agenda. And then differently be prepared to go look for or to put it together. And I think it's just the intentional act of considering all the possible options that you can, given that your knowledge, experience, and perspective has an opportunity to have real benefits of what the final decision could be.
I like
Does that
that.
make sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. All right. Well, if you have one thing that you'd like to share your antidote, please feel free to put it in the comments, because we know that not only will it have an impact on Bob and I, it might be exactly the thing that someone else is looking for that helps them figure out how to take their next step along their own unique pathway to success. And if we can help someone get one step closer to the success they desire, why wouldn't we want to do that? And if it's just a matter of sharing our value, that's not a heavy lift for us in an effort to try to help someone else get to where they want to be. So with that, I want to thank you for being a part of our show. If you're listening to the podcast and you can't and don't have a place to share your thoughts and ideas, you can always join us inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group if you're a Facebook person, or our Renegade Success Network for Leaders on LinkedIn group, where you can share your thoughts and ideas there, because you never know. Not someone might be looking for exactly what you have to say, and someone there might share exactly what you've been searching for to help you move forward. And wouldn't that be a great thing? So why don't we all go in and share our value today? I think it's a great day to go out and share some value with the world. And if you're not able to do that, and we don't see you in one of those groups, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time, for our next episode of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. That's all I got.
Please. That's okay. Please do. All right, everyone, go out and make it a great day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.